currency. I trusted him and gave him the money, only to later discover he had used it for a lavish vacation with Brittany. They went to Bali for 2 weeks, staying in a 5-star resort, and posting endless photos on social media. It hurt to realize they had lied to me. Brittany's shopping habits also became a point of concern. She often goes on shopping sprees, buying designer clothes and accessories. Just last month, she came home with 3 new Louis Vuitton bags and a pair of Christian Louboutin shoes. When I casually asked about the cost, she brushed it off, saying it was a treat for herself. She never offers to contribute to household expenses. They've also developed a habit of throwing parties at my house, inviting their friends over, and using my wine cellar without asking. Last New Year's Eve, they hosted a party for about 50 people. They didn't even bother to inform me beforehand. I came home from a quiet dinner with a friend to find my house packed with strangers, and my prized wine collection significantly depleted. John quit his job 2 years ago to pursue his passion for painting. He converted our garage into a studio and spends hours there every day. However, he hasn't sold a single piece yet. When I gently suggested he might consider part-time work to support his art, he got defensive and accused me of not believing in his talent. Recently, they asked me to co-sign a loan for a new sports car. When I refused, explaining that it wasn't a wise financial decision, they got upset. Brittany didn't speak to me for days, and John kept making passive-aggressive comments about how I don't support their dreams. Despite these issues, I never said anything. I didn't want to create conflict or risk damaging my relationship with my only child. But last month, I decided enough was enough. I called John into my study and told him I couldn't support them financially anymore. I explained that at 32, he needed to take responsibility for his own life and find a job. I said I'd give them 3 months to get their finances in order before I stopped covering their expenses. John was shocked but seemed to understand. He apologized for relying on me for so long and promised to start looking for work immediately. I felt relieved after our talk, thinking the issue was resolved. However, things took an unexpected turn after that conversation. Brittany's behavior towards me changed dramatically. She became overly attentive and started spending a lot of time around me. She began making me breakfast every morning, something she'd never done before. At first, I thought it was a nice gesture, but it quickly became uncomfortable. She'd linger in the kitchen, asking personal questions about my day and my plans. One evening, after I mentioned having a stiff neck, she offered to give me a massage. I politely declined, but she insisted, saying her father had taught her great techniques. The way she looked at me made me feel uneasy. During our family movie nights, Brittany started sitting next to me on the couch instead of with John. She would often lean against me, claiming she was cold or tired. It made me incredibly uncomfortable, especially when John was right there in the room. Her compliments became frequent and somewhat inappropriate. She'd tell me I looked handsome, or that I must have been quite the catch when I was younger. Once, she even said I was in great shape for my age, and asked about my workout routine, her eyes lingering a bit too long. Perhaps most disturbingly, Brittany began walking around the house in more revealing clothing than usual. She'd come downstairs for breakfast in short nightgowns or tight yoga pants, things she never used to wear around me. Meanwhile, John was out most days, allegedly job hunting. This left me alone with Brittany for long stretches, which made me increasingly uncomfortable. I'm not used to this kind of attention, especially from my daughter-in-law. It feels inappropriate and makes me uneasy. Last week I was in the kitchen making coffee when Brittany came in wearing just a towel. She claimed she forgot her robe in the laundry room and asked if I could get it for her. The way she held the towel, barely covering herself, seemed deliberate. I awkwardly declined and quickly left the kitchen, my heart racing. A few days ago, she asked me to help her unclog the shower drain. When I went to the bathroom, she was in there wearing a very skimpy bathrobe. She stood unnecessarily close to me as I worked on the drain, her perfume overwhelming in the small space. Yesterday, during dinner, she spilled wine on her shirt. Instead of going to change, she took off her shirt right there at the table, leaving her in just a bra. She asked if I had any stain removal tips, but her eyes seemed to be challenging me, watching for my reaction. I mumbled something about club soda, and excused myself from the table. This morning, she came into my room without knocking while I was getting dressed. I was standing there in just my underwear, and she didn't immediately leave. She apologized but lingered, her eyes roaming over me in a way that made my skin crawl. I'm starting to feel like something is wrong. Brittany's behavior seems calculated, and I'm worried she might have ulterior motives. I've started being more careful around her. I make sure to lock my bedroom door at night and avoid being alone with her in closed spaces